Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Paint Table. It's my weekly show where you see what I'm working on, what I got done, and what is coming up. So, this week I converted some miniatures. Somebody said this to me a little while ago, you don't convert and make your own minis. I'd love to see what you do when you kind of kit bash your own models. And very often it's funny, I have kind of like a adverse sort of thought in my head about doing that. Is very often I want to show off box sets and box games and stuff exactly as sort of the manufacturer kind of presented them. So when you see Let's Plays and stuff, like if I do a starter set for, let's say, 40K or Necromunda or something, I tend to try and present the contents as is. I don't want to misrepresent for you guys watching what it is. And that means that I tend to do really standard builds and stuff and follow the instructions, just so that you people watching can follow along and see how things get done. And I did kind of read that comment and think and go, you're right, I don't do that much kit bashing anymore. I kind of try and, because I want the people watching to be able to get like an honest kind of like grip of what they're seeing, I don't want to go too far away from what the sort of like the standard builds and stuff are, so people can see what's in the box and not just what's in my bits box and stuff. And it does mean that it's been kind of a long time since I converted and built anything. And luckily enough, I had the inspiration to do that this week with what you saw today, which has gone up, which is my review of White Dwarf 458 and the solo rules for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. That kind of brought together in my head a whole bunch of stuff which I'd been tinkering around my brain with. And honestly, since the Anvil of Apotheosis came out in the General's Handbook 2020, and actually since the release of Age of Sigmar, since way back when I did a series called Realm Quest, it just feels like it would make a really good adventure game. And the last month in November, that coming out kind of crystallized that for me. Was the dungeons had come out for Warcry, the General's Handbook had come out for character creation in Age of Sigmar, and it's a great article. If you don't have GHB 2020, check it out. It's a really cool. Like, people kind of complain, oh, it's not great in match play, but like being able to design your own characters in Age of Sigmar is a layer of Warhammer that I was missing from my Age of Sigmar games. And now these solo play rules basically give an AI for adversary forces was like the last piece of the puzzle that was missing. And yeah, I made up some rules for Age of Sigmar for solo play, for some adventure games, some like Rangers of Shadowdeep style adventuring in the Mortal Realms using dungeons, and that's, you'll see it on Tuesday. Anyway, but the short story long, I converted some characters. I made 3 characters for my first starting adventurer group. I wanted to make them all unique, so I kit bashed a bunch of parts and I showed them off on Instagram and Facebook this week, and people are excited about it, but I'll go through it right now with you folks watching, and you'll see the result of the game I wrote. I sat down and wrote it, and I was like, oh, it'll be like 2,000 or 3,000 words. Most of it's already done. It's just me pulling these things together with like some rules in between. It's like an 8,000, 10,000 word document. I wrote I kept adding things to it. So there's a lot there, and again, you'll see that on Tuesday. But for now, check out the characters I made. I also did some work on some terrain for Battletech. I want to check out Classic Battletech this weekend. And I couldn't just play on a paper mat. I can't do it. I can't film that. So I made some 3D terrain elements to play on too, just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. And you'll see that coming out soon too. So anyway, let's take a look at what got done and what is coming up. And so here they are. First things first, my 3 heroes for Realm Quest, converted from a variety of bits. First thing is my Azerian Hammerhall war chief. He's been rescued basically by these 2 Stormcast and has joined their side. He's come back over to Sigmar, come back over to the winning team from Chaos. So I replaced his weapons with Stormcast hammer and sword, and gave him this, I shaved off his belt buckle and gave him this cool a sort of wavy whatchamacallit, parchment piece from the back of the Liberators. And that kind of just was enough. He didn't have that much chaos iconography on him that I couldn't make him just look like this cool barbarian, this Hammerhall barbarian. And I gave him a little lightning bolt scar there on his head to show his little Harry Potter mark from Sigmar, having rechosen him. And he's trying to fight his way back to Valor, trying to take his way back to being a hero. So in Realm Quest, you start at 10 Destiny levels. So his 10 Destiny levels, I bought him the Frenzy and the Berserk Charge. So his 6s to hit double into 2 hits, and then Decapitating Strike, where every 6 to wound is a mortal wound. So he just has basic weapons, a hammer and a sword, but he's pretty dangerous in that between those 2 things, and then he has an extra wound. This is his last Destiny point. And then his Decapitating Strike and Frenzy, he acts like this Berserker Barbarian. I've been really happy with him in the game so far. I've had 2 adventures with him, and he's done really well. His name's Anvil Andalthas the Survivor. He's the survivor of the Red Hall. And then I've got my 2 Stormcast. Now, these are based on Liberators, the Cities of Sigmar Wizard kit, some bits from the Paladin kit, which has the Protectors. There's a Protector arm in there, and I think that little lightning thing on his shoulder, too. And a Lord Castellant. So it's a Fire Wizard head and hand. You can see there. This is my homemade Exorcist, basically. And then Liberator legs and the upper body of a Lord Castellant, like blended on top to give him this cool, like heavy cloak, basically. And one of the little parchment pieces on the hip there. He has a Protector arm for that big War Spear, and I just built out his neck, basically, with plastic bits to make that head fit. And then the hand was perfect. Like, the hand fit just fine. He's not wearing his like, obviously, holding a flaming skull, he's not going to wear his gloves. So he doesn't have any gloves on. But I liked it. It's cool. He's just this old man Starcast, and his name's the Reforged. Saithwin the Reforged, and like his like whole jam is that he has the priest upgrade. So he has the what is it, the one where he calls down mortal wounds on a 3+. I upgraded that to a 2+ with his destiny points. He's got a war spear, a great war spear for 2 more destiny. I think that put him at like 6. And then I bought him the reinforced armor to represent his big cloak here. So he's a 3+ save instead of a 4+ save for the Stormcast. And I gave him, I think, +1 to hit. No, maybe it was +1 wound. I think he has 6 wounds. Saithwin the Reforged. And his whole thing is that he's been reforged like a gajillion times. He's become an exorcist. So his whole jam, he's a low-level exorcist going on adventures to try and fight the damned. And maybe that's who he saved. Maybe he exorcised the demon out of this guy, and that's how they became best buds. And then we got Caedus Dire Shield. And he is a Liberator with, again, I used the legs left over from that Lord Castellant to do this guy's legs. And then I gave him the upper body of a Liberator. This was just like, I had like 1 leftover Liberator from something, and I gave him a shield off, I think, the Prosecutor shield with the spears, the big ones, the javelins, and then just a regular Liberator hand. And that's actually a Space Marine head from the... the Intercessors that I like shaved all the techie bits off of, and it just gave him this cool kind of like gray, like bad news thing. And he's in a constant state of reforging. He's able to turn back time with his little time turner here, and so I gave him the regenerate ability. So he's got a hammer for 1, a shield for 2, the regenerate ability for 3 more, puts him at 5. And then what else did I give him? I gave him +1 to hit with the hammer, so it hits on 3s now. And that was 2 more, 6, 7. I can't remember what else I gave him. He has lead to defense because he's a commander type, so you can spend CPs on additional defense. And then his other bits, he has the Flame Wizard back banner there too, which I really liked. I just thought it was cool to like have these guys like going through the darkness, hammer down stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. He had 10 levels. I didn't buy him an extra wound. He's got +1 save from that. He's got, I think maybe it's 4 actually for regenerate. He's got regenerate. He's got the hammer for 1, the shield for 2, so that's probably 6. And then 7, 8 for the to hit. Oh, and I bought him extra attack. That's what it is. So he's got 3 attacks. He's got 3 attacks on 3s to hit. There we go. That's 10. And that's my my 3rd hero. And they're all battle level 1. So at 10 destiny, your battle level is your basically your destiny divided by 10. And that means that every battle level you have, you count as being a hero in the solo rules. So when you check these out, I did a review today. You can go check it out in the cards. That's basically what I'm using for this system for solo play. And I'll share the rules with all my patrons on Tuesday with a full let's play of the solo play rules in here. But those are the models that I made for it. And then I made some terrain because I couldn't just play on a paper mat for checking out Battletech, but I do really want to check out Classic Battletech. I've had so many people ask me if I'm going to be playing it, and obviously I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to use about 3,000 battle value probably, and then all of these models are from the core game, from the Game of Armored Combat. This is one of the maps from a Game of Armored Combat, and I basically replaced all of the sort of like 3D objects on this map. So there's light cover, there's rough terrain, and then there's heavy cover, which is the big trees. They're all replaced with like 3D objects. I wanted to have a 3D object for everything I could, and that meant that I had the opportunity to go and make some stuff. Last week you saw I found a big bag of hex spaces, and this seemed like the right thing to do. Now the one thing I have to go get, and this is a nice tip if you're ever playing on lots of these like paper mats, although I have to try and find one that's not reflective, is you can get a desk cover. They're called blotters usually. They're like a plastic sheet to go over a wooden desk to keep like stuff off of it. If you can find one, or even just a clear piece of acetate, although that's not going to be useful for filming, you can usually find matte ones and put it over top of this. It'll hold it flat while you're playing your game. I'm going to try and find one of those. It also means I can put down a bit of blue tack underneath so they don't slide around. But the nice thing is, if I go stand on it, I just go 1, 2, and then I just move it off, and then I put it back when he walks away. Right, so it's a 3D element that kind of shows where stuff is and helps you guys on camera see everything. And it's made with just some regular MDF bases. You can buy these from places like Foregrounds or Litco. And then I glued down, this is just pine mulch. And then some of the static grassy stuff. You can see basically a step-by-step on my Instagram right now. And then I used, these are Woodland Scenics baby armatures. And this all this cool flock and static grass is actually from Huge Minis, and you'll check it out tomorrow on Witches and Wonders, but I used all their stuff for covering this up. And then I primed it with some black primer, hit it with brown airbrush, and then painted it with all of these cool new Imperial Hobbies paints. There's a indie paint company starting up called Imperial Hobby Paints, and I gave them a try this weekend. I'm gonna do a full check of track sheet, paint some models with them before I give them a review on Witches and Wonders, but I tried them out so far and they've been great, like really nice finish, and I'm happy with them. But that was what I used for all these colors, was the War to End All Wars paint set, and I think the Wasteland Scavengers paint set from Imperial Hobbies. If you want to give them an early checkout. And here's some stuff coming up. So this big pile of sprues, these are the next adversary group I need to paint. I got to paint all this Bloodbound stuff to go adventuring in Akshi. So I got to paint a Korgorath, I got to paint my Bloodstoker, I got to paint my Mighty Lord of Khorne, I gotta paint some Blood Warriors and my Skull Reapers, and then that's got me ready to rock and roll and my these little guys, the Blood Warriors. No, not Blood Warriors. Blood Barbarian, whatever they're called, the basic Bloodbound guys. And that's all the adversaries I'll need for some dungeon adventures against the Bloodbound and Akshi using the Cinder Halls. I've had these since first edition and just never actually finished them up. And then my next adventure group, which I'm going to try out, is going to be these little guys, some dwarves. I've got I think this is Burlock Dammonson. He's like the cogsmith with the cog axe and the repeater. I've got a Rune Lord, and I've got a whole bunch of other dwarf bits I'm going to bash together with some Sigmar bits to make another order champion, I think this time of dwarves. What's funny is, because I'm using the Anvil rules, I can just take Dwarden and mix and match stuff. So if I want to do some Celestial Dwarden, they're working for Sigmar, and kind of mix and match them with my current party, that's what I'm planning on doing. I've wanted to paint these models for a while. They're really nice minis, and this kind of gives me an excuse to convert them up and make them a little bit different from what they normally be. Then I got some more Destroyers. Zadok05. I'm stoked about this. The new Zerkola block from Monster Apocalypse. I love him. He looks like Truckosaurus from The Simpsons, and some of his little minions. So I haven't actually played Destroyers a whole bunch, but I'm thinking this is going to be what I'm going to start actually Destroyers with. The Vereda Walkers and the 3 Spars are just cool looking. They're just weird dimensional portals. The background for these guys is really cool. It's like a weird Stargate basically that they have, and it'll mix cool with my Demos 9 stuff to and all my Martians to give me kind of a cool different faction to play with in one. And then finally I got these models from Gravedigger. This is a really cool bespoke miniature line right now. Look at these cool bases, prismatic fragments. The game itself isn't available yet, but I've got a selection of models here that I'm going to check out and get painting actually before the game actually comes out. And they're just these really neat, she has a giant pair of scissors to fight with. She's a knight with an eye patch and giant scissors, and she has this sort of sidekicky monster. It's a giant weird jackalope kind of dog. They just have this really cool art style. I'll link them below and you can check them out. Actually, you can see right here, www.gravediggersite.com. But these are some really neat stuff, and I'm excited for whatever they come up with as far as their concept. But the packaging is really cool. They have these really neat printed boxes. It's all packed really nicely. And I feel like this is a teaser for me. I'm not really sure how it actually works. Look at this awesome dinosaur with a ray gun. The finish is really nice. The scale's a bit big, but it'll be probably consistent inside its own line. And I'm pumped to see what this is all about when the game actually comes out. And so you're on the paint table done and on the books. Tune in next week, I guess on Boxing Day, to see what I get painted next week. I'm probably going to film it a bit early before the holidays, but I'll see you then. Until then, I'm Ash. Have a great week. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.